Goku had just turned 15 years old. Today was his birthday, but he had no time to celebrate because his grandfather Gohan was dying. Gohan had raised the boy since he was a child. Goku's parents left him in his grandfather's care when they decided they would climb the Tower of God. Unfortunately, they never returned from their journey, leaving Goku with only faint memories of his parents. Gohan knew that one day Goku would follow in his parents' footsteps, and so he trained the boy in martial arts.
And so, as Gohan lay sick in bed, he used the last ounce of his strength to tell Goku how proud of him he was, and that he was ready to go find his parents at the top of the tower. Goku reluctantly accepted the task bestowed upon him by his grandfather and said his final goodbyes. Gohan had passed away.
As if in response to the event, Goku heard a mysterious voice asking him, "Why do you want to climb the tower?" Goku wiped away his tears and answered that he wants to find his parents. The voice responded by only saying, "Whatever you desire, you will find it here at the top of the tower." A flash of blinding light shot up from the ground around Goku. When he looked down to find its source, he saw a giant door had appeared under him and was slowly opening. He instinctively reached for his grandpa's weapon, the power pole, which had been passed down to him. Within seconds, the light had fully engulfed Goku, and he vanished.
When visibility had returned to Goku, he was met by a strange being holding a staff. That being introduced himself as Head-On, the caretaker of the tower. Head-On explained to Goku that the road to climb the tower would not be easy. He warned that very difficult trials awaited him on this path, and that he would be risking his life to obtain the thing he desires. Goku asks if Head-On knows if his parents are in the tower. The strange man replies telling Goku that he cannot answer this question. Knowing that, will you still attempt to climb the tower? Asked Head-On with a grin. Without hesitation, Goku answered yes. Head-On raised his staff and transported Goku to the next level of the tower, where he would take his first test.
Goku landed in a field of tall grass nearly as tall as he was. Unsure of what was happening, Goku looked around to check his surroundings. He could make out a few people off in the distance, many of whom appeared to be warriors. Goku's stomach began to growl. He was starving, but there was no food in sight. Suddenly, he heard a voice begin to speak above him.
A floating black cube began to explain that this was the first of many tests. The purpose of the test was to determine who was worthy of climbing the tower. There were 400 regulars, and the goal was to reduce the number to 200 using any method they choose. They can check the number of remaining regulars on their pockets. The test will end the moment the number reaches 200.
Goku was left with several questions when the test began. He had no idea what a regular or a pocket was. Unfortunately, he wasn't given any time to figure it out, as he was approached by a large man wielding a sword. Goku asked him if he knew what a pocket was, but the large man was not here to talk. He spotted Goku and thought that the small-looking boy would be an easy target to warm up with. He replied to Goku by raising his sword above his head in preparation to strike the boy. The man swung his sword downward with all of his force, but Goku easily stepped to the side and dodged. Goku quickly followed up with an elbow to the large man's gut. He was brought to his knees in pain and shock. Goku was exceptionally strong for his size due to his martial arts training under his grandfather.
Unfortunately, Goku's feet drew the attention of Rak. Rak emerged from behind the man kneeling on the ground. He grabbed the man and threw him out of his way. Goku explains that he's not looking for a fight. He just wants to know what a pocket is and where he can find some food. Rak responds calling the boy an orange turtle and urges Goku to fight him. Both fighters begin to take up their fighting stances when a candy bar is thrown at both of them. Goku immediately sits down and begins to eat.
Khun approaches them and asks if they want to be his allies. Khun is looking to gather strong allies, and after witnessing Goku's previous fight, he acknowledges that Goku could be useful. Goku then asks Khun what a pocket is. Khun thought it was weird that he didn't know, but he explained it to him anyway. Goku pulls out his pocket and notices the number is nearly at 200 already.
Meanwhile, Rak is growing more frustrated as they have been annoying him this entire time. Rak swipes his spear through the air, catching Goku by surprise, and knocks him back. Rak charges at Goku, and they begin to fight. Goku is mostly evading and blocking with his power pole, although Rak is not as easy to deal with as his last opponent. When Goku was finally about to go on the offensive, they were interrupted by the announcer notifying them that the remaining regulars is now at 200. It also warned them that anyone still fighting at this point will fail the test.
The second test was now about to begin. Everyone must find 2 allies and be touching them at the end of the next 5 minutes. After receiving these instructions, Khun decides it's best that the 3 of them all team up. Goku is happy to team up, but Rak refuses. He insists that he will continue hunting the orange turtle. Khun attempts to reason with him, but Rak is too stubborn to listen.
Khun tells Goku to follow his lead as Rak charges them with his spear. Khun reaches into his bag and throws several knives into the air. While Rak is distracted by the knives, Khun slips under him and trips him up. Rak hits the ground with his cape now covering his eyes. Goku and Khun both jump onto an arm to restrain him. They were hoping that they could manage to hold him down long enough to reach the time limit. Eventually, Rak manages to overpower them and stand up. Goku and Khun are still hanging on tight to his arms despite Rak flailing them wildly. Just as they were about to lose their grip, the announcer informs everyone that the time is up.
When the test ended, the remaining teams were transported up to the mothership where they would await the next test. Khun managed to keep Rak calm by feeding him chocolate bars, but some of the other teams were getting restless. Finally, a man walked in from a hallway. He introduced himself as their test administrator. His name was Ro, and he was a ranker.
Goku asked Khun what a ranker was. Khun laughed and told him that he was starting to sound like an irregular. Goku just stared at him with a confused expression because he had never heard of irregulars. Khun explained to him that rankers were people who already climbed to the top of the tower, which was where King Jihad was. Goku thought to himself about how fun it would be to test his skills against someone so powerful.
Ro looked around and said that it was time to do some culling because more people passed than he had expected. He raised his right hand and shot a wave of water at everyone in the room. The wave was so strong that it had pushed everyone back. When it finally settled, there was a wall of water between Ro and everyone else. He explained that this water is called Shinsu and it's the source of the tower's power. Everyone in the tower is capable of using it in combat. He ended his explanation by informing them that any team that passes through the Shinsu wall would pass and everyone else would fail. Many teams began complaining about this test because it seemed unfair. Interrupting the complaints was Goku, asking why he wasn't pushed back by the Shinsu. Everyone was amazed that this boy was seemingly unaffected by the Shinsu wave, including Ro. He said Goku must be a very lucky boy and that was enough to pass. As Goku walked over to him, he couldn't help but think, a monster has arrived.
They sat down and waited to see who would pass. Goku decided to ask Ro what was the difference between regulars and irregulars. Ro explained that all regulars are born in the tower, but most regulars will spend their entire lives in the outer tower. Head-on chooses which regulars are worthy of an opportunity to climb the tower, and they are granted access to the inner tower. Irregulars are people who don't follow the rules of the tower and open the gates on their own. The irregulars who have appeared in the past have all been incredibly strong. Goku knew that this would make him an irregular, and it might be best to keep it quiet. Eventually, Ro decided it was time to move on to the next testing area, so whoever had not passed through the wall by now would fail. Fortunately, Khun and Rak had passed without any problems.